All right, welcome to the Modern Monk podcast. Today we are talking about the price of comfort, everything to do with comfort. My name is Cormac Taylor. I'm here with Mr. Toby Chilver. How you doing, Tobes?
Hello. We're feeling good. We had a great session last week talking, and here we are again, keen to run it back for episode 2.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, Toby, tell me, what does it mean to be comfortable?
So the first thing that comes to mind when I'm thinking about comfort is a feeling of being within yourself. So when I think about the opposite of comfort, I think about adventure, I think about pushing yourself slightly beyond your limit, and feeling that slight discomfort.
Yeah.
And so when I think about comfort, I think about being fully within yourself, and having a lot of certainty. Certainty,
Okay.
You know what's going to happen, you know what's around you, there's nothing threatening, there's no uncertainty. I feel like when there's uncertainty, there's the chance the discomfort might occur. But when you're comfortable, you're very within yourself and you have a lot of certainty about the short-term future.
Do you think that's why so many entrepreneurs feel that constant state of uncertainty? I feel like no matter who you talk to, there's always uncertainty. That's a constant within entrepreneurs in particular, I find.
Yeah, 100%. I think it kind of goes hand in hand. Like, you're seeking out discomfort because you're pushing yourself to do things you've never done before. You're taking on challenges that you don't know that you can obtain.
Yep.
And so you're feeling discomfort. And I think in that discomfort, there's uncertainty, or maybe the uncertainty comes and it's displays as discomfort,
Yep.
In yourself. So I completely agree that it goes hand in hand, and that's probably why that's definitely why we've both felt it, I think, and I think why most entrepreneurs share that feeling.
Yeah. And would you say there's something inherently wrong or something that you have to fix about the fact that you have that feeling of uncertainty, or do you think that's just the price you pay for being in a state of discomfort?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say a price you pay. I think it's almost like a skill deficiency. If it's something that you can train yourself to be better at handling, it's something that you'll have an edge over, because I agree that it will always be there. If you are always trying to progress, you're trying to become a better version of yourself, there's always going to be uncertainty. So the more of that you can handle and take on, and still progress and still be putting in the actions, then I think that's only like a competitive advantage for you.
100%. And I think when people move down, they go through their stage of personal development, they probably set goals for themselves, they're uncertain about achieving them, but they do accomplish it. And when you do accomplish something, you reinforce that sense of, I can do this. And I think the more times that you set goals for yourself and you do accomplish them, the more that when you start setting goals for yourself, the more certainty you have in that if I just do these actions, I will eventually get there. I think that's something that just comes with time and actually just taking on goals and achieving them.
Yeah, I mean, reps are definitely just important in that manner for building up that belief in yourself that you can manage that discomfort.
Yeah.
I mean, do you agree? I mean, what does comfort mean to a guy like you?
So I think for me, comfort is like making decisions that feel good now, regardless of how they impact your future. So I think when I think of comfort, I'm just thinking about decisions that feel good now. I'm not thinking at all about the future. It's just what feels really good to me right now. I think when people think what is comfort, I think a lot of people have the image of someone sitting on the couch watching TV. I feel like that's the
100%.
classic comfort.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone knows, I'm sitting on the couch watching TV. No one's goals are based on the action input of sitting on the couch and watching TV. I feel like everyone knows that I'm doing this, it just feels comfortable, it feels safe. There's a guarantee that it's just going to feel good, but there's no long-term benefit from that. And I think the opposite of comfort would be doing something that intentionally feels challenging, is tough, but you know benefits you in the long run. I think that's the inverse of comfort. And I think finding the balance is obviously good, but fundamentally, that is what comfort is choosing today over tomorrow.
And where do you think most people sit on that spectrum?
Oh, I think we know where everyone's indexed right now. Everyone's indexing heavily on the comfort.
Say it for the crowd.
Everyone's indexing very, very heavily on the comfort. It's I mean, if we think about what we do on our day-to-day basis, we wake up in the morning, and when I say we, I'm talking about the average person in society right now. We wake up, what do we do first thing in the morning? Well, our phone's next to us, so we pull out our phone and we're in fight or flight mode, cortisol is high, what do? Well, we become a chimp and we go and start scrolling. We go and start doing something that feels really good, something that feels comfortable. And maybe you sit there for 15, 20 minutes and you go, well, I guess let me go and get breakfast. And what's breakfast? Probably another comfortable choice. It's probably, there's some shitty cereal or, something that just feels nice, feels comfortable to do. This probably isn't good for me, but it's comfortable. And then maybe you're off to your job. What are you doing on the way to work? Yeah, you're probably scrolling more. You're probably doing something that feels comfortable. And then every moment is taken up by a sense of comfort. What do you do when you get home? Do you go to the gym? Maybe I'll just sit on the couch and watch some TV. Let me choose comfort at any possible opportunity. And I think it's the moments where there's nothing that you're inherently supposed to do. People fill that time with something that's comfortable all the time. I think it's never been easier to be comfortable right now. I think that's the problem. With our technology, with our phones, it is so easy to do comfortable stuff. Because if you think about through our evolutionary history, how many times have you been able to do something that feels so incredibly good for doing essentially nothing?
Yeah.
That's actually quite a foreign, alien thing to our environment as human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been like the same as going from like hunter-gathering to farming.
Yeah.
It's like, I can just have the berries right now. I don't have to go walk 10 kilometers for the berries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And now we have even more highly palatable versions of berries all the time.
Yeah.
And we don't have to move.
And it's interesting you bring up that point of it's a choice and 15 minutes later there's another choice and then there's another choice. Like you go through the day and you're presented with all these choices.
Yeah.
And in today's world, there's always a super comfortable, reliable option at every stage.
Yeah. Yeah. All the time. And I think the big problem with this as well is that because everyone does it, it's normal, right? You're not frowned upon for scrolling your phone. Like you're not frowned upon for choosing comfort because everyone does it. If anything, people look at you weirdly if you're not doing these behaviors.
Yeah.
Because the comfort is the new default. It is absolutely the default play, is to just be comfortable all the time.
Yeah, and if we're saying that there's they're perpendicular comfort and growth a little bit, then I think that's why we get all these people saying that it's never been so easy to stand out.
Yeah.
In today, because everyone's choosing comfort. So if you just choose a little bit of discomfort, you can set yourself apart from the majority.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
An interesting next one here. How does comfort influence suffering?
Yeah. Okay. So this is an interesting question because we talk about suffering and we suffering is a dirty word. We say suffering is a bad thing, but suffering isn't good or bad. Suffering is really just a guarantee. Like you're always at some point in your life going to be suffering. And realistically, you're probably going to be suffering in one way or the other all the time in your life. Literally all the time. Every decision we make is how do we choose to suffer, in my opinion. And that's the important word there is choose. Because there are two options really. You can choose how you suffer. You can suffer actively. I'm going to choose how I suffer. Or you can not choose. But remember that suffering is a guarantee. So if you don't choose, then the suffering will be chosen for you. And the suffering changes. So if you choose suffering, okay, let's think about when you get home after a long day. How do you choose to suffer? Do you choose to go and work out? Do you choose to exercise? Do you choose to sweat and suffer actively? Or do you choose to sit on the couch and suffer passively, thinking there's a lot of things that I should be doing. I'm sacrificing my health right now. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. And then building up this big monster of maybe some problem in your health, some underlying issue, some existential crisis that you've created for yourself because you're not becoming the person you want to become. How do you want to choose to suffer? Would you rather suffer for an hour working out and then in 10 years time, if you do that quite a few times, you probably end up looking really damn good. You're probably very healthy. Or do you choose to sit on the couch and then you choose to have a bunch of health problems down the line, have body image issues, feel very insecure about yourself? Like, how do you choose to suffer? Because you will suffer either way. But do you choose suffering or does suffering choose you? That's how I see it.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. And it seems like what you're saying is if you choose comfort, then suffering is, you don't get to pick what suffering is contributing towards.
Yep.
You know, you've chosen your comfort. You only get to choose one side of the story. So you've chosen to decide what your comfort looks like. And so your suffering will just manifest however it manifests, which for me personally is never good. It builds up this feeling of being overwhelmed, of you're putting things off that you know you need to do.
Yeah.
But if you choose to direct your suffering, okay, I'm going to put my suffering being in the gym, then that's going towards, you know, a goal that you have. And then I think adding on to that, then when you do have a little bit of comfort, or even just like the end of the suffering, it's like a reward.
Yeah.
Instead of the suffering being this unfaceable thing that you then never, just lingers in the background. It's like a constant. I feel like when you choose it, it becomes, you almost like define it in a box, and it has a certain period of time, you know, it's going to last, and you know, you get through it, and then you move on to, you know, the next choice, the next activity, the next thing. It's done. But I feel like when you choose comfort, it just stacks, it just builds, it just stays there as like a constant, and it really grinds you down, or at least
I reckon that's a really good point. I want to expand upon that, because I think we choose to, when we choose the comfort, right, we're choosing to feel good immediately. But as you say, it is the long-term pain. Like you're feeling the discomfort in the long term. Like it compounds and lasts for a long time. If we choose to suffer now, we choose a small confined period of suffering, but we actually choose long-term good feelings, long-term positive sentiment. You feel good about your progress, you're moving forward. And I think if you look about the duration of the suffering and the reward, choosing the comfort probably actually provides you a longer period of suffering.
Yeah, overall cost.
Yeah. But it's a lot harder because we don't correctly discount. So we think everything in the moment is more valuable than it is.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. No, what I kind of wrote down when I was thinking this was, comfort is like a tin shed in a hailstorm. So like it's offering you temporary relief.
Yeah.
Like suffering, I agree, is a fixed cost. It's inevitable. You're going to experience it on the day-to-day for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's the hailstorm. Choosing comfort is like, oh fuck, this hail right now is you know, a lot. I'm going to just hunker down under this tin shed for a bit.
Yeah.
But the hail doesn't go away. If anything, it's really loud, and you can hear the hail, and you're reminded that it's there.
Yeah.
But you know, you got that little bit of comfort, and you just want to stay there. And then sometimes the longer you stay in that tin shed, the harder it is to step back out into the hail.
Yeah, that's a great point, isn't it? That's a great point.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because when you go out and when you face the enemy, when you face a demon, it's never as big as you make it out to be. The more that we
100%.
enter these states of comfort, and as you say, we hide from the hail, we hide from the problems that we're facing, the bigger the problems get in our mind. The problem hasn't changed. What you have to do hasn't changed at all, but it seems like a much bigger task. And the more that we can step out into the hail, the more that we train that in our brain to just take these on, just take the suffering right now. I think the better that you're going to be able to handle these problems. And we end up with this anxiety and stress, and I think a lot of it comes from hiding from the problems rather than just facing them head on, taking them.
And then once you've built that muscle of stepping out into the hail, you've taken on the discomfort, you haven't just shied away from it, then you can reflect back, and you get the added bonus of being like, okay, well, I did it. Yesterday I suffered that, so now I get to kind of enjoy the comfort that's off the back of yesterday's suffering.
Yes.
Like one thing that I wrote down that I used to I still do read to myself in the mornings is like, today I will suffer for the benefit of tomorrow. And today I will appreciate yesterday's suffering.
Yep.
And today I will stay in the present. So it's like if you just make the sacrifice, you choose discomfort today, then tomorrow you can wake up and be like, oh, I'm really proud of, you know, that moment. Or like, you can feel a bit better about, you can like almost like call back that decision and then reap the rewards then. Yeah. And then that fuels you to pick another uncomfortable decision, which then, you know, you both of these things are like self-fulfilling prophecies. They're cycles. Yep. You know, staying in the tin shed during the hail, you just want to stay there because the hail's just feels louder and it's scarier. It gets bigger. The monster grows. But you step out into the hail and then you just want to take another step. You don't want to like turn around. You just keep stepping.
And it's such a rewarding feeling when you step into that hail and you realize that it's sunshine all along.
Yeah.
Once you get through that one thing, it's, hey, wasn't that bad? And I actually feel really damn good for doing that.
Yeah.
Really, really damn good. Like, what are the best days you've ever had? Are they ever the days where you just chose comfort, or are the days where you just got a lot of things done and you're like, wow, I'm really proud of myself. This is a whole new level that I can reach.
Yeah. It's always the days where I feel like it's when you feel lots of pride. And for me, pride is just like overcoming a really uncomfortable situation or like a lot of uncertainty, something you didn't think you could do.
Yeah.
So like if that's what you're trying to optimize to have lots of really good days, you need to be taking on really big tasks. And like that's going to come with also like low lows.
Yeah.
I think like part of the skill of, personal development or just like a life skill in general is being able to manage those and produce moments where you can feel proud for choosing the uncomfortable thing in the past.
Yeah. It's a good feeling. It is a damn good feeling. All right, so tell me, how do you look back on the times where you were comfortable?
Yeah. Well, at first I think I want to explain that I've been thinking about comfort as a spectrum.
Yeah.
I think on one side of the spectrum, you have pure comfort. The only thing that you're thinking in that moment is like comfort. So like sitting on the couch, you got the snacks next to you, like everything is just like bliss. Mm-hmm. And then you got like comfort mixed in with some, other emotions along the spectrum until you get to, I don't even know what the other side is, but let's just stick to talking about pure comfort.
Yeah.
For me, when I look back on times when I've chosen pure comfort, it's always because I've felt completely overwhelmed.
Yes.
I've allowed tasks and to stack up. I've been putting pressure on myself. I've fallen out of habits, and I feel lots of uncertainty, and I feel completely overwhelmed by the amount of things that I have going on in my head. And that's when I feel pushed to choose comfort, and that's when I default to comfort because I need to escape from this overwhelmingly big monster that I've created in not doing something. And in those moments, I know that it's wrong, but for a period of time, it feels too difficult to choose anything else other than comfort. Because the monster, you've just let it grow so big.
Yeah.
And I guess what I've learned, like especially in the past 12 months, is just it is like a mile wide and an inch deep, and all you need to do is take the first step, and then suddenly you realize it's not a hailstorm; it's basically sunshine.
Yeah.
it's light rain, it's smizzle, and you just got to push through it. But yeah, it's always feelings of overwhelmed, being completely overwhelmed, that push me towards choosing comfort.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I think that's going to be a recurring theme for, my answer as well. It is just creating big monsters. And the bigger the monster gets, the more you want to hide from it. The more you want to hide from it, the more you choose comfort. And the more you choose comfort, the bigger the monster gets. So the more you choose comfort. And it's just a cycle. It just repeats itself over and over and over again. But I think the times, and I've had long periods of time where I've almost exclusively chosen comfort. It's just been my entire life was comfort. In the uni days, it's you're drinking a lot, and maybe you're playing video games, and you're just partying. You're just doing what feels good. You're just absolutely like making decisions purely based on emotion, what feels good right now. And the word that comes to mind is passive. Like that is how I would describe that period of my life, is passive. You feel like a falling leaf floating side to side with changes in the wind. Like you're ready for someone to just take you wherever they want, because you're in zero control over your life. You're very much sitting in the passenger seat. You take zero responsibility for what you're doing. You just say, okay, I'm just going to choose to feel good now. Whatever happens, happens. But you just put your hands up and you say, well, this is what it is. And you have a lot of monsters in the closet, and it's a very stressful time. I think a lot of people who deal with anxiety problems, I think a lot of that is where this comes from. Constantly choosing comfort, creating big monsters, choosing more comfort, living passively, getting to a point where you realize, wow, this is really not what I had my life planned out to be. Not one bit. And at that point, that is a big pivot point where people call it the fuck this moment, where you either decide to just completely change course or you just concede the fact that your life isn't what it is. And that's a sad time for a lot of people. But passive, that is the word that comes to mind for me.
Yeah. I mean, you say passive, and the association that I also draw is static. Like it's like feels like the opposite of progress when you're choosing comfort, because you're putting off the things that you know you should be doing that are progressing you towards what you want. But what I want to kind of ask you to go further on that is, do you think, or how do you think that plays into the entrepreneur life cycle, and maybe the death of a lot of entrepreneur life cycles that don't quite make it into a lifelong journey?
I think there's a big mismatch between expectations and reality. And I think that's where a lot of people fall, is you nearly always expect things to be easier than they were and take less time than they were supposed to take. And when that's not the case and things get hard and there's a lot of things that are happening, you might start to just block your ears and go, I don't want to listen to this. Let me revert a little bit more to comfort. And then the problems get bigger, and then the other opportunities seem a bit shinier. And that's when maybe you switch niches. Maybe I change my business model. Maybe I change something big, and then I start all over again, or I just completely quit. But either way, it is not a good outcome. I think a lot of that comes from the mismatch and the poor handling of when you realize that things take a lot longer and are a lot harder than they actually are. Because a lot of us are making decisions when we are at the peak of our motivation, when we feel really good, when we're like, all right, I can do this. 1 year, easy. But then you get a few months and you're like, oh, 1 year. Well, that's actually a lot of time. Well, that's actually quite difficult. Or it might take 2 years. Oh, that's pretty hard. Oh, this other thing looks pretty good. And then it all starts over again. Yeah. Or it doesn't. Or it just stops.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't think that it could be uncomfortable for that length of time.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost a coping mechanism to tell yourself, oh, it'll probably only take like 3 months. Like I can handle 3 months of being uncomfortable to get this goal that I really want.
Yeah.
But I think we all shoot ourselves short, or, we all make up these imaginary deadlines when we think things will happen, and usually it does take longer.
Yeah.
And I think, you do find that make or break, that break point of, can you sustain this discomfort, or will you just go either restart the journey or just drop out completely, which is...
Yeah. And that's why I hate deadlines for outcomes. Because you cannot demand of the universe when you're going to receive something. You can have deadlines for inputs. I think that's a good idea. But you need to define inputs that make it unreasonable for you not to achieve that outcome. But you can't define when that outcome is going to happen or how it's going to happen. You can just define the inputs and take the actions. But you're in no control over when you're going to achieve anything.
Yeah.
So why would you set a deadline for yourself? Because then what happens if you don't hit the deadline? Then what? You're going to stop what you're doing?
Yeah. I really wish I could be hearing this like 18 months ago, even like 2 years ago, because I think part of what built up these big monsters for me and all of this feeling of being super overwhelmed and then choosing comfort and starting that cycle was putting lots of pressure on deadlines of outputs.
Yes.
Instead of just focusing on consistent inputs.
Yeah.
And then those things can eat you up. If you say, oh no, but I was going to get the tax return done in 2 weeks' time, and it's a month later, it's double the time, and I still haven't get it, and I don't even want to do it today.
Yeah.
It's like, no, if your goal or what you're measuring, your input was 2 hours a day, you can do that every day, and you can make that cycle work for you. You can have that ball rolling in your direction. Yeah. Great point.
100%. And I want to actually, because I've spoken about being passive and how I live passive, but I actually want to go a bit deeper into what that meant for the outcomes in my life. So when I was second year of university, I was reading a lot of books on entrepreneurship, and I was like, okay, this is absolutely 100% what I want to do. I hate my degree. I was doing a finance and economics degree, no interest in it whatsoever. But I was like, well, I guess everyone else I know goes to university, and that's what my parents want me to do. So I guess I'll do that. AKA other people are going to make this decision for me. And then I finished university, and then it's like, okay, so you're going to be an entrepreneur now? No, everyone gets a job after university. So, and my parents want me to get a job, and everyone wants me to get a job. So I guess I'll get a job. So then I got a job for a year. And then I was in the job, and it got to that point, that fuck this moment that I was talking about, where I went, oh, okay, this is not the life I want at all. This isn't even close to the life I want. So then I just made the decision. I said, okay, well, if I take these set of actions, it would be unreasonable that I will not achieve my goal of becoming an entrepreneur. So let me just do that. It was only at that point, that was 4 years later, 4 years of just letting other people make decisions for my life. And it is a horrible way of living because yeah, you feel good in the moment, but it causes a big existential crisis.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to learn from a story like that. And I kind of had a similar experience because I took an entrepreneurship breadth in my degree, my science degree. And like pretty good lecturer actually. In the first kind of class, he says like, you will never work harder than if you decide to become an entrepreneur. Like it's not for everyone. You're going to lose this, you're going to lose, family connections, you're going to lose time with loved ones, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was just sitting there going, yeah, no, that does not sound enjoyable. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because like it had always been like an idea in my head of, something that I thought I could do that I think would be really cool.
Yeah.
And in that moment, he basically showed me like, this is going to be uncomfortable. And I went, yeah, no thanks. I'm good. And then, yeah, you end up putting yourself, I think what I'm trying to get at here is if you had just started with what the actual goal is, you spend a little bit of time thinking about what you really want, what you want your life to look like. And then you figure out the inputs and you lock those in, you stay consistent.
Yeah.
You end up where you want to end up.
Yeah.
But if you start choosing comfort because you're put off by the discomfort of achieving those goals and the outcome seems too big, too scary to achieve, then you end up going down this path that you never wanted to go down, and you have to get to the fuck it moment and make that decision, which like isn't fun. Like it makes for a great story.
No.
But it's a lot of passive suffering.
Yeah.
And then a transformational period, which is very difficult. Like it's not, like everyone talks about this like transformational period. It's like, oh, it's like this great thing. And then you turned a corner and you were exactly the person you wanted to be. It's like, no.
Yeah, not at all.
No, I was backed into a corner. Yeah. Basically beaten until I like changed.
But
or beat yourself up until you change.
Well, yeah, exactly. And you talk about like, it creates a great story. And I think one of the reasons it creates a great story is because it is so much harder of a decision to make when you have to make it 4 years after you've done like a degree or you're into a career, and then you have to go, you know what, let me throw this all away. I call this the barrier to exit. We talk about that barrier to entry. What's your barrier to exit look like? If you've created up an absolute castle that you have to leave behind, that makes it a lot harder, and that's why I think it creates a better story. But the thing is, the castle's made out of shit if it's not what you want. So what are you actually walking away from?
The castle's a prison if it's not where you want to live.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, it is. The castle is a prison. Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
I'm glad we spent that time on that one. That was a goodie. But
So
I want to know.
So how does comfort influence long-term growth?
It has to be detrimental overall to long-term growth. Like I think the growth and comfort are perpendicular to each other. I don't think you're growing if you're comfortable. I think like growth by definition to me is like putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, because by being uncomfortable, it means you're uncertain about the result, which means you're probably at the brink of your limit of what you think you're capable of. Yeah. And you only get better, you only achieve personal growth when you push that limit a little bit further. Yeah. And that's going to be uncomfortable. Yeah. There's no, like, I would challenge anyone to think of a time where they comfortably pushed their limits and became a better person.
It's like an oxymoron, isn't it?
Yeah.
Comfortably pushing your limits.
And I think we've kind of made that clear to this point. And now kind of what I wanted to touch on as well was, I think people can end up in the trap of optimizing for a completely unhappy life because they choose discomfort and it works for them. Maybe they achieve some level of success in whatever their goals are.
Yep.
And then they go, okay, well, that algorithm worked. Let me just be miserable and achieve all of this success.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a balancing point there of like, of making comfort, of weaving comfort into life. But I think for the 0 to 1 stage of entrepreneurship or personal growth,
Yeah.
you gotta put comfort to the side. It has to be not priority 1, 2, or 3.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, okay. You ask yourself the question, if comfort is choosing right now over tomorrow, then what does your life look like in 10 years' time if all you've done is choose today over tomorrow?
Probably the same.
Well, there's always because I know you mentioned static earlier, but there's always the variable of time. And in my opinion, if you're not growing, you're shrinking. There is no static. If you're if you're not growing, if you're not moving forward, in my opinion, you're moving backwards. Because if you did nothing in your life for a year, you're not the same as you were. You're a lot worse.
Yeah.
You're a lot worse. So
Interesting.
I think because we talk about like what is a fulfilling, what does a happy life look like, and I think the discomfort actually, in my opinion, makes you feel satisfied. Like happiness is one thing, but satisfaction I think is almost a better feeling. We talked about the days you feel your best, the days where you're proud, you feel like you've accomplished a lot of things. I think that the more that we can choose some sort of mild discomfort, obviously the bigger your long-term growth is going to be. If you told me that there was 2 people and one person only chose their future and didn't choose their current situation whatsoever, I'm not saying this is the right choice or the right way to live your life, and you said there was a person that just chose right now instead of tomorrow, who's going to have a better life in 10 years on paper? Who's going to have a better looking CV? Like, of course, it's going to be the person that's constantly delaying gratification, constantly choosing tomorrow over today. And of course, you have to find that balance. But the more that we can push the level of discomfort that we can hold and bear on ourselves, the more growth that we're going to have. And it is uncomfortable to grow. There's always growing pains. But it's like, how much do you want to grow? How much are you willing to sacrifice? Because there is a level. You're not willing to sacrifice everything, but how much are you willing to sacrifice? Because the more that you're willing to sacrifice, the more you will get long term. And that's why you see some of the most successful people and you say, yeah, they have all this success, but I don't want their life. And that's because they were willing to sacrifice more than you for the goals that they've achieved. And it's not to say that that is the correct decision to make, but the more you sacrifice, the more discomfort you go through, as long as it's channeled in the right vehicles, the right high leverage opportunities, the more growth, the more progress you're going to make in the long term, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think what I want to touch on again here, what we mentioned earlier, is that it can be a cyclical thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you can live off last year's discomfort because you have that pride in it and you can see the progress.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the cycle that you want to get into.
Yeah.
Because the comfort is just going to cause the opposite to manifest.
Yeah, it's going to compound either way. We want it to be compounding in the right direction if we can.
For sure. All right. But now I want to get to, when does it make sense to choose comfort?
Okay. So I have three situations where I think it makes sense to choose comfort. I think the first one is where the comfort in of itself has small downsides, right? If you said to me, okay, I'm going to choose to shoot up heroin today, like, all right, you might die. Like, that's a pretty big downside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's high downside.
Yeah. But if your comfort choices are, I want to play some chess with some friends, like maybe that's comfortable for you, but like, what's the downside, right? Well, you spend some time playing chess with some friends. Like it's not really a big deal. Okay. That's the first one is small downsides. If you're choosing comfort don't choose comfort with big downsides. Like, in my opinion, even though everyone does it, if you choose to scroll every day, in my opinion, that is a huge downside. You're training your brain to be impulsive, short-term thinking, which are two traits that are the opposite of what is required for any long-term success. You're probably creating ADHD in your brain. Like, it is going to have significant downside effects. But if you can choose comfortable activities, which you do occasionally, that don't have small downsides, I think that's
small
okay.
downsides.
Sorry, that do have small downsides. That makes sense. The second one is if it's improving relationships. So you had a nice little saying. I'm not going to take credit for this, but choosing comfort to connect and not to escape. So when I choose comfort, I'm speaking about my life right now. I'm in a position where I'm essentially delaying gratification for 90% of the time. It's not to flex, that is just my current situation. When I choose the comfort, it is always around other people. I never choose comfort by myself. It is only around other people. And I choose that because I'm building relationships in some way. That is a goal of mine. That's a bucket I'm trying to fill up. So if I'm going to choose comfort, I'm at least going to do it to build relationships, not just to feel good. You know what I mean? Which is, in one way or the other, I guess, moving me towards a goal. But I think choosing the times when you choose comfort is important. And if you can get some sort of benefit, like being around other people, it's a good thing. Like, for example, I have been living without online entertainment for nearly a year now, for this entire year, but only by myself. Around other people, I've consumed online entertainment, right? I've watched some movies, we've watched some sports games.
Yeah.
But it's only around other people. It's when I'm building relationships, I'm with other people. I'm not doing that by myself. And I've just personally found that to be a pretty good one. And then the third one is if the comfort is in some way moving you towards your goals. And in our previous podcast, we talked about having high standards, because when you don't have motivation, you fall to the level of your standards. And it's where I think living without online entertainment has been super beneficial for me, especially having introduced language learning. Now, one of my goals is to learn Spanish as quickly as possible. So I'm consuming Spanish videos, Spanish input. That is my new comfort activity, right? That is my new easy thing I choose, okay? A bad day for me is like I spent too much time learning Spanish, right? That's a pretty good day.
Yeah.
Compared to like I spent so much time scrolling and playing video games and just being a degenerate. It's like, this is kind of moving me towards my goals. And even let's say you had a big task list of things to do and you know, all right, that big hairy one there, I should probably do that, but this one feels a bit more comfortable. Do that. Do like, of course we need to get the big ones done, but you want to work with what you got. Work with your flow. If there's easier things for you to do that are still moving you towards your goals, then do them. If you're not feeling super ready to do a big challenging activity, just do the smallest possible thing that you can do to move you towards your goals. But yeah, those are my three.
Yeah. And like, let's take a second here to reflect on like that this is not normal. Like, I have known this guy for quite a few years now, and he is not capping at all when he talks about how he lives his life. Like, click on the YouTube page, watch the videos, and like you'll see he's put it all out there. Like his lowest ROI activity is learning Spanish. Like that's his go-to dopamine fix, and you only get that through completely rewiring your brain to train yourself for that to be an enjoyable activity, because you've removed everything else that isn't taking you towards that goal, which is for all of us is online entertainment. So, I mean, it's a huge testament to what Modern Monk stands for, and like and what it can do for you. So, first of all, big up.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
All right, but when do I choose comfort? I mean, building connection instead of escaping. Like, you never feel good when you feel overwhelmed and then you choose comfort. Like, it's always in the back of your mind, the monster that's building there. And so you're choosing comfort, but then you don't even enjoy it because you're still overwhelmed. You're just slightly distracted from it. And a kind of a catchphrase that I wrote down when we were discussing this was, when it feels like a choice, it's probably not a bad idea. Because for me, when I chose comfort because I was overwhelmed, it wasn't a choice. Like it was like I was like internally like scared and like I was like running from something. I didn't want to do this task. It didn't feel like a choice because even when I chose it, I knew it was wrong. And like I was aware of the fact that it's not what I should be doing.
Yeah.
But I felt like I just didn't have the capacity to do it. I'd let things build up, yada, yada, yada. But if you're presented with a choice and, you know, and comfort is, you know, a big part of one of the options, but it actually just feels like, okay, no, I'm going to choose to do that. There's intention behind it. Then I think that it's not a bad decision. And I think you have to really be in tune with yourself, with your intentions, with your goals, have a good awareness of how you feel, how spending your time doing that activity makes you feel. But I think that's a great skill to build because then you can actually live making decisions that make you feel good and be able to balance having comfort in your life.
That's a super interesting one.
Yeah, it feeling like a choice. And and then you almost appreciate it more. And you're like, no, I've chosen to do this. I've chosen to watch the Wallabies game tonight. Yeah. Like, I know I could, you know, could have gone for a run, but, you know, this is something that I want to do. And you make it a conscious choice and, you know, you enjoy it. And so that's a big thing for me because wasting your like comfort when you just feel shit about it because you're overwhelmed is the worst feeling. Yeah.
That's a hard one because you're basically saying when it's on autopilot to be comfortable, that's when you shouldn't do it. That's when you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling everyone to just snap out of doing the thing that is like almost impossible to do, but we'll get to that in the next one, I think.
But so we previously touched a little bit on finding the balance. Where do you see the balance is between and there's, you know, as we know, it is situational, person dependent, but generally, how do you see balance and maybe how do you see it for your life?
Yeah, I think we'll start on something that you touched on, which was happiness and like fulfillment and the kind of the difference between that. Because I don't think anyone should be ever chasing happiness. I think it's a byproduct that comes from a fulfilling life. Or from feeling pride or from these other emotions that are obtainable through like choices and action. I think if you ever are choosing happiness, you might get glimpses of it in the moment, but then again, you're probably just feeling comfortable and then the monster is just getting bigger and you're really creating yourself more suffering in the grand scheme of things. But where do I see that balance? I think it comes back to, or it starts with, looking at your life in seasons. Because there's no set and forget for this balance. It's something that is constantly going to need to be altered. And I think at different seasons of your life, it makes so much sense to have completely disproportionate scales, to like seesaws. Like the 0 to 1, you've got an idea. You're in the trenches, you got to do 6 things to get this thing off the ground and, you know, and you're on a time limit and yada, like, that's the time where you need to go, okay, comfort and like some happiness, I'm willing to forego. Like if I really want these things to happen, the 0 to 1, you need to prioritize some of those things above, you know, happiness and above comfort. But then maybe there comes a time where, okay, things are good. And, you know, you got the thing up and running and it's, you know, you got a level of success that you're happy with for the moment. And you're in a new season and you've burnt a lot of fuel to get from 0 to 1. So now you're 1 to 2. Then I think it's important to reevaluate, bring back in a bit of that comfort, a bit of just, you know, different choices to find maybe a bit more of a balance. And I think it resets your ability to be able to go again. And I think anytime you're moving up a level, you really need you need exit velocity. You need like oomph. You can't just be gradual and expect to like hit these levels. Like, you know, I think we both know that people talk about, there being big milestones that require extra energy to get over. And so I see that life in seasons allows you to change the balance that you have so that you can sacrifice it and use that burst of energy to get up to new levels.
That's a great point. Okay, so when we think about seasons, I think some people who are maybe working or exerting an amount of effort that they think, maybe I can't do this forever. But I think the important thing to note is it's not forever, it's for now. It's for this season, I need to do this. And that's not always going to be the case. As you say, you hit the milestone, then you can reevaluate. It's not necessarily forever. I think that is probably an important thing to note, because if that is the deterrent, then just know that it doesn't have to be forever. It is for your season.
Yeah. And like you are fully in control of how long that season is. And it's based on, again, what you're willing to give up. Like these people that you admire because they're the top of their game, they were just willing to stay in that season for a decade. They're just built like that.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not. And like, I think being aware of that when you start the journey and when you're on the journey is really important.
Yeah. 100%. All right. 3 things. What are the 3 things that I can do today to get out of this comfort rut?
Okay, so this again for me is a cyclical thing. These three things, they're almost like steps. But I have record how you feel. Mm-hmm. That's step 1 for me. However works for you. For me, writing was a big one. Talking to people was a big one. You need to build a general sense of awareness for your state of mind and for your emotions. There needs to be times of the day, and it needs to be recorded what those emotions are, and you need to feel them, and you need to create space for that. Because step 2, you're then going to plan progressive overload of discomfort. So don't throw the big hairy monster on day 1, step 1. Let's build into it slowly, add more difficulty into whatever time horizon works for you. It could be, each day is going to be a small increment. It could be each week we do a slightly, bigger increment, and then we stay consistent on that. But have it planned and have it increasing. And that's really important, because then step 3 is ignore how you feel and stick to the plan. You can only, and I say this with lots of caveats, because obviously in general, ignoring how you feel, probably not a great thing to do, but if you are at some point recording how you feel and spending time being in tune with it, then I think you give yourself the permission to ignore how you feel when it counts for choosing the discomfort, for sticking to the plan.
Yeah.
I think it almost unlocks that ability for you, because if you don't record how you feel, you're not in touch with it, you bottle everything up, and then you ignore how you feel and you stick to the plan, you're building a bomb.
Yeah.
So that's why that goes 1, 2, and 3 for me.
I like that.
What are Cormac's 3 things to avoid the comfort trap?
Yeah, so number 1, what is not moving me towards my goals? We have to identify what that is. I bet you there's a lot of things we're doing right now that we can easily say, well, these things are in no way moving me towards my goals. So I think if you literally just did an audit on your time, you went, okay, over the course of the day, I did X, Y, and Z, and you did that for a week. You have a very good idea of what your life looks like at that point.
Probably a scary idea.
Yeah. I think if people just sat down and just wrote what they did and the amount of time they spent on it for a week, they would be shocked. It would actually be a very,
their life
very
would
valuable
change.
exercise. Yeah, I agree. But do that.
Step 1.
Identify what you're doing that's not moving you towards your goals. Okay, very important to identify that. Then you have to ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice? That is step 2. Because we talked earlier about the fact that if you just chose pain right now, if you just chose to sacrifice the present for the future, you would achieve massive results, more results than anyone, as long as you're in the right vehicle, and finding that balance. And this is where the balance comes in. What am I willing to sacrifice? So you have to say, okay, out of all of these things that I do that have not moved me towards my goals, what am I willing to sacrifice? Maybe one of your things is having dinner with your kids. Well, I'm probably not willing to sacrifice that. Okay. Spending time with my wife. I'm probably not willing to sacrifice that. Okay. But there are things that we should be willing to sacrifice. And I'm staring at online entertainment right in the face right now. And I'm saying, if there is a piece of online entertainment that you're not willing to sacrifice, you have to sacrifice a limiting belief first. And then you can sacrifice that online entertainment, because I don't see a world where you need to be consuming any online entertainment by yourself. These are the easy things to sacrifice, okay? The online entertainment is in no way moving you towards your goals. It has no place in your life. There is a big limiting belief that is preventing you from getting rid of any of those. But what are you willing to sacrifice? That's step 2. And then step 3 is start sacrificing. And it is exactly as you said, progressive overloading. Because if you just sacrifice everything all at once, then it's going to be really good for 2 days, and then you're going to fall off the bandwagon and you're back to square one. So we need to start progressive overloading. The way we do it at Modern Monk, get rid of one piece of online entertainment a month. That's a great place to start. If you have more support, then you can do 2 or 3 a month maybe, okay? Maybe pushing it at that point, but one thing a month, just get rid of it. Because let's say you're scrolling for an hour a day, right? That's a lot of time over the course of the year, like 365 hours in a year, just to get rid of one thing, one very easy thing from your life. Just get rid of that one thing. Okay, I've just sacrificed that one thing. I've unlocked an hour a day. That's a huge amount of time. Like, oh, I don't have time to exercise. Now you do. Now you got time to exercise.
And not even just time, you also probably have more energy. Like, there's so many flow-on effects.
Yeah,
that we could get
yeah.
into.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not, you're right, it's not just the time aspect, there's a lot of energy aspect to it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to identify what's not moving towards my goals, identify what you're willing to sacrifice, and then start sacrificing. That's the 3-stepper.
I love it.
Probably pretty similar to yours. Yeah.
Well, I think there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Big time.
Cool.
Well, this has been another great conversation, I would say. And quickly before we wrap up here, I just want to say to all the listeners that you right now have the chance to work with this guy, and in 5 years' time, you will not have the chance to work with this guy. So all I want to say is that he's had a huge impact on my life for the positive, and everything that he has on offer for you will never be better value, cheaper, more accessible than it is now. So if I were you, I would book in a call with Cormac right now, because your life will get better and you'll be able to achieve things that you never thought were possible. And yeah, I couldn't be more of a living, breathing, walking advertisement for what is possible. So just a little shameless plug. No affiliate.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, another cracker. You won't be around next week, so next week will be a solo podcast, I think, and then we'll have Toby back. I'm disappointed. I'm enjoying our podcast, so
I have to, yeah, but no, I'll let you guys have him all to yourself, and then I'll jump back in.
Then we'll be back. All right, Tobes. Thanks for today.
Always, brother.
We'll catch you guys next week for whatever is in store next week. We'll find out.
Episode 3.
All right. See you then.